The number one reason you are not getting your nursing position is because you're not prepared enough. You're rambling during your interviews, you don't know how to answer specific questions, and you don't know how to promote yourself or how to introduce yourself. So, I want to help you be successful in your next upcoming interview. So in this video, I'm going to share the top 5 commonly asked questions that'll come up in your next nursing interview for 2026. After this video, you're going to walk away with what to say, what not to say, and how to feel more confident in your interview so that you can walk away perhaps with a same day offer. For those who don't know me and you're new to this channel, my name is Dr. Farah Laurent. I've helped over 200 nursing students and new graduate nurses land their specialty position in the ICU, the ED, labor and delivery, psych, and any other position that your heart desires. And I've helped them make 6 figures. So if you want to be the next person who lands your dream role, this video is for you. So let's get into it. All right. So question number 1, tell me about yourself. That is the number one question 99% of the time that they are going to ask you. This question may also come in the form of them saying, walk me through your resume. But essentially, that's going to be the first question. Now, so many of you will struggle with this question because you don't know what to say. Number 1, what I will say is, do not start off by saying your name or where you went to school. They already know that. It's on your resume. You don't need to recite your resume. Plus, you want to start off your interview strong. Within the first 5 to 10 seconds, you want to capture their attention, their curiosity. You want to literally make them lean in and want to listen for more. So how do you do that? You have to have an interview pitch. And this is what I help my clients craft and design and prepare so that when you're in the interview, you literally slay that introduction so much so that you blow them away and they're like, wow, this candidate really prepared. They know what they're talking about. All right. So what is an interview pitch? Like I said, you don't start off with your name. You literally will say something that'll capture their attention. So let's say you want a labor and delivery position. You might say something like, well, the reason I'm here is because, as you know, brown and black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die due to complications in pregnancy. And I'm here to change that. This is why I'm here to interview for this labor and delivery position. My name is Farah, and with my past experience in education, I know that I'll be an advocate in this role, right? Something simple like that in your first section. So I break it up into 3, the interview pitch. The beginning should really be your why and, why you want to go into that particular specialty. Then phase 2, you'll lead into past experiences, strengths, skills, and then lead into the last part of literally why should they hire you as this candidate. So essentially, that is your interview pitch. You have to nail that interview pitch. Now, you want to thread in a little bit of your story. I did this with Jessica, who was a new graduate nurse who wanted to get into MD. Everybody kept telling her that she couldn't. She had to go to med-surg. But of course, I was like, don't you dare take a med-surg position. I got you. Let's go. So part of her interview pitch, we worked in a little bit of her story about her own personal pregnancy complications without getting into too much detail so that we can build some empathy and build some credibility of why she wants to go into L&D to help other mothers and advocate for them. So you want to be able to tell a story. When they tell you, tell me about yourself. Do not recite your resume. Don't sound boring. Give it some enthusiasm because it's all about the delivery. Yes, what you say is important, but also the delivery is extremely important. You want to sound enthusiastic. You don't want to sound scripted or robotic. So essentially, you're telling a story. When you tell a compelling, organized story that touches people's hearts, it gets their emotions going, and you start to connect, that's what they'll remember. In fact, you'll be unforgettable. That's how you answer the tell me about yourself. Because essentially, they got your resume. You don't have to recite that. You want to pull them in, draw them in so that they remember you. The first 2 minutes of an interview is crucial. So if you can knock that out, slay, be confident in your delivery with the interview pitch, you will blow them away. And typically within the first few minutes, they will already decide if you are the perfect candidate, and that's what we want. On to number 2. Why this particular specialty? You want to give them a little bit of a appetizer, right, in the interview pitch to say why you want to go in L&D, why you want to be an emergency nurse, or why you want to be an ICU or pediatric nurse, right? You want to give them a little bit. But they may later on in the interview ask you why this particular specialty, or why this specialty at our hospital system or our organization. That question will definitely come up. So this is when, again, you have to be prepared with why you want to be an ER nurse or why you want to be an ICU nurse, right? You have to come with the story. One thing that I'll say again, the storytelling piece has to be strong. So for me, let's say for the emergency department, I'll use my own story. You want to really capture what you bring to the table and why you're interested in that specialty. So for me, it was the emergency department. I used to watch Trauma Life in the ER. Everybody can relate to that show, especially if you're applying for an emergency position, they will be familiar with that show. So that might break the ice a little bit. Then I will say, I feel like I belong in the emergency room because as a nursing student, I actually got pulled into a trauma and a critical care patient. I was asked to perform CPR, and that's when it hit. That's when I knew that I wanted to be an ER nurse. That moment, you have to capture the essence, the emotions that you were feeling, the excitement, and that's what I brought to my interview. I started doing CPR, and I knew, I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to save lives. The passion has to come out. If you don't sound passionate during the interview, forget about it. You are not going to get the position. So talk about the passion, what you bring to the table, and have a compelling story of the moments that you felt like you knew that was your specialty. Another time, one particular client, I remember we worked on describing the feeling of her being in the labor and delivery room and seeing her first birth. She described the feeling she felt, the overwhelm, and how she wanted that experience every single day at work to be able to be there to support these mothers, because she described the miracle and that special feeling she felt every single day. And another one comes to mind is Emily. She wanted to be a NICU nurse. She came to my free webinar and we ended up working together after. And actually, she's the biggest success story I have. Within a week of us working together, just 1 week, she crushed her interview within that 1 week and was offered a NICU position. Just 1 week of us working together. And she came to my webinar and learned about how to be more confident. So she basically told the story of how her and her preceptor really connected on the NICU unit. And before she left her preceptorship, the NICU nurse had given her a little diaper, baby NICU diaper, and also a NICU blood pressure cuff. And she kept that with her. And her preceptor kept in touch with her and said, you're meant to be a NICU nurse, so keep this as a reminder of where you're meant to be. She shared that story in the NICU interview, and she also got her NRP the morning of. So she showed how serious this was to her to be a NICU nurse. So before the interview, she got her certification as a neonatal nurse and then told that story in the afternoon when she had her interview. So of course, she immediately connected because they see how above and beyond and how passionate you are about this specialty. That is what needs to come out. Number 3, why should we hire you, right? So many people are afraid to brag about themselves, talk about their past skills, strengths, education. You have to let that shine. When they say, why should we hire you? You should be instantly ready to answer that question. Not like, let me think about it. Like, no. Because if you have any ounce of doubt or hesitancy, they're going to see it in your mannerisms and your facial expressions. So you better be ready with precision to answer that question. And essentially, it has to do with what you can do for them. A lot of new nurses make the mistake of saying, oh, well, NYU or Stanford is one of the best hospitals, and I feel like I'm going to learn so much from this particular hospital, and it's going to be a great experience for me. Stop with that. You have to tell them why they should hire you and what you're going to bring to the table. So flip the script, right? Everyone's going to say how great the organization is. That's not why they should hire you. So you want to brag about yourself, your skills, and what you bring to the table. One of the biggest things that people forget about is just basically describe how you genuinely care for patients. That's number 1. How you'll go above and beyond for them. How you'll advocate for them. How you'll be part of the team and you'll create a positive, healthy work environment, because people want to work with people who are positive and fun, helpful, collaborative. And then lastly, how you're going to impact patient experience. How are you going to listen to patients and their family members? That is the most important part of the patient experience, which is the customer service piece, right? If you can highlight some really great stories of how you went above and beyond for a patient, and I'm not talking about just, oh, I went and brought them a blanket. No. Get deep into the patient experience and how you are aware of the metrics that go along with patient experience. And not only is that really shaping the experience of the patient so they have a wonderful experience and stay, yes, safe care, yes, quality care, but they will remember how you made them feel, how you were attentive, and how you anticipated their needs before they even asked you a question, how you explained procedures or what was next to reduce their anxiety. That's what they're looking for. Beyond the clinical skills, beyond giving medications, nursing at the core is connecting with patients, making them feel at ease and comfortable in their most vulnerable time. If you can demonstrate and articulate that, it's over. You got the job. That's why they should hire you. So if you want to learn more about the ins and outs of how you can slay your next interview, walk in with confidence and be bold, you got to come to my next webinar. My webinar will give you more strategies, more frameworks on how to be successful in your next interview. And I'm not talking just fluff. This is real world examples and real tangible skills that you'll walk away when you come to this free webinar. So check out the link below so that you can sign up for the next webinar. You want to get in early before it's full. Once it's full, that's it. You got to wait to the next one. So you don't want to miss out. You want to sign up now. And I don't hold back. I give you the straight business, right? I always say, I give it to you straight, no chaser. Okay. So you want to come to my next free training, my next webinar. Link is below. Also, please subscribe to this channel. You don't want to miss out, other great episodes. The other question, number 4, is where do you see yourself in 5 years? I almost don't really like this question, but so many people love to ask this question. And really the way you want to answer it, it's kind of tricky. They want to make sure that you stay with the organization. No organization wants to invest and spend so much money training you. And as you're transitioning into that role, right, it could take about a year for them to really pour into you. So they don't want to hear that, oh, in 2 years, I want to go back to school and take off and go somewhere else to another unit, right? You want to reassure them that you want to stay in their organization, stay in that particular unit, and grow within that unit and stay in their organization. You want to give them that reassurance. So how do you say that? You will say something like, I would love to see myself here in the ICU, getting further certifications, increasing my education, perhaps being a preceptor and giving to the next generation of nursing students by being a preceptor. And, I see myself here growing and preferably retiring here if possible. And then lastly, what other questions do you have for us? Do you have anything to share? Or is there anything else we asked that we didn't cover? This is your part to promote yourself, brag about yourself, and write down your questions so you have questions to ask. Anyways, that's it for the top 5 questions that you need to know in 2026. Follow me for more content. If you're trying to get to the ICU, I have a specific ICU video that you want to check out, the 5 essential steps that'll help you land your ICU role. All right. Again, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the next webinar and I'll see you there. Take care.